Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Yes, I know it's been a while. I know, but as I always says, my podcast is called Marta. It's not just a mama because I'm not just a mama. I am a woman, a soul, working in progress. And today I'm here, showing up again with a new episode just for you guys. Before we start, I wanted to remind you that you can support this podcast through my Patreon. It helps me keep creating, recording, and sharing more moments like this with you. You also find some exclusive reflections and behind the scenes moments there. So, if you feel connected to this space, just go and check it out and join into our little healing community. All right, let's begin. There is a kind of pain that doesn't show on the surface. It lives quietly in the heart, often passed down from one generation of woman to the next. It's the mother wound. And when you become a mother yourself, that wound doesn't disappear. It awakens. It whispers through the moments when you're tired, when your baby cries, when you want to be patient, but you can't find the strength. It's not about failing as a mother, it's about remembering that you're healing something Asian, something that didn't start with you. The difference between the mother wound in a man and the woman: when a man has a wound with his mother, he may struggle with emotional connection, vulnerability, or trust. But if his father or another strong masculine figure has was present, he often has a pillar to stand on. That presence teaches him stability, direction, and how to rebuild trust with the feminine. However, for a woman, it's different because she doesn't just carry the wound, she carries the same energy that caused it. The mother inside her meets the little girl who never felt fully loved. And that meeting can feel heavy. When you become a mom, you don't just raise a child, you raise every version of yourself that was still waiting to be loved. Motherhood brings out what's unhealed. And sometimes love feels heavy because you're trying to pour from an empty cup while learning to feel it at the same time. But that's also where the sacredness lies, you know? Love, patience, and consistency. Healing doesn't mean being perfect, it means choosing again and again to respond with love, even when it feels hard. Patience isn't natural when you've lived with pain, but with awareness, of course, it grows. Yeah. Sometimes I notice in small moments, like when my baby cry at night, and instead of reacting, I breathe. I speak softly. I remind myself that I am not just soothing her, I am soothing the younger me who once needed to be held like this. But I am just learning this now, or actually, I've been learning this through the months. Reclaiming the feminine, the feminine. Reclaiming the feminine is another layer of healing the mother wound, is remembering what it means to be a woman. Not just a mother, not just a partner, but a woman in her own softness, beauty, and intuition. When you grew up surrounded by men or by woman disconnected from their femininity, you learn to survive in masculine energy. You learn to protect, to say yes when your body is screaming no, to carry more than you should, because somewhere deep down, you believe love must be earned. But the healing begins when you start saying no with love, when you start trusting your intuition again, when you allow yourself to receive, not because you're weak, but because receiving is sacred. I used to wonder why so many women couldn't be my friends before. Now I understand. It wasn't rejection, it was reflection. They mirrored my own wounded feminine. The part of me that didn't yet know how to stand in my power or how to be gentle without losing myself. Yeah. Now, through healing, I am learning that femininity isn't about how I look, it's about how I love, how I nurture, how I allow life to flow through me. Breaking the silence of generation, sometimes the mother wound doesn't come as words, it comes as a silence. I see it in my own mother, for example. Days go by without a message, without a call, without a simple "how is the baby?" or "happy Montessori" or "happy birthday." That silence used to hurt me deeply. It still does sometimes, I confess. But I've been come to understand that her silence isn't rejection, it's fear. It's the way love learned to survive in her world. Quiet, distant, afraid to ask, afraid to feel. And maybe that's what she tried to pass on me, that silence. But I've chosen differently, of course. I've chosen to build love, to be present in my daughter's life, to let her feel that connection that I missed. And in doing so, I've also started attracting new kinds of relationships. I have a friend who I checks in every day. I have a family who shows up, a husband whose family embraces our child. I think many mothers of our generation are going through this same transformation. We are learning to turn absence into presence, silence into care, and fear into connection. Healing beyond bloodlines. Healing the mother wound also means healing what runs through generation. The pain that isn't just personal, but cultural and ancestral. In my case, it's showing up when I realized that my daughter wasn't fully accepted on my mother's side. Because she's an African girl, her father is African. Even before she was born, there were comments, words filled with judgment and fear that my mother passed on to me from my auntie. That was the moment that I knew this ends with me. Like, my daughter's light will never be dimmed by ignorance or prejudice. So I choose distance, silence, not from the pain, but from protection, of course. I don't send photos or videos because I'm guarding her energy, her innocence. And then there's my brother. Same mother, different father. Another mirror, another layer. Different treatment, unspoken. Rivalry, the echoes of what our parents carried before us. But I no longer take it personally now, because now I see that healing isn't about fixing people, it's about freeing yourself from what no longer belongs to your soul. The invitation to heal to anyone who's listening and walking through this same kind of pain. Maybe you haven't yet understood why healing feels so hard, or why I often speak about holistic therapy. It's because healing isn't just about feeling better, it's about remembering who you were as a baby, as a child, as a teenager, as an adult, and seeing what your family gave you to carry. Ask yourself what I am still holding on to. What fears, what beliefs, what traumas have I been repeating? Maybe even passing on to my own family without noticing. When we become mothers and fathers, we don't just repeat what we were taught. We start creating as well new values, our own values, from a place of awareness. Yes, our parents gave us some good things: kindness, generosity, friendship, but they also handed us their fears, their pain, their silence. And it's our job to look at that, to stop, to breathe and choose what we want to continue and what we want to end. That's what holistic healing is: a sacred pause, a space where you remember, reconnect, and realign your soul with truth and love. Because all of this, all of the pain, the reflection, the tears, is not happening to you, it's happening for you, so that your children and their children can grow in a world where love feels safe again. Thank you for being here with me today. If this episode touched your heart, share it with someone who might need it to hear it too. And remember, you are not alone in this journey. You are healing together, one breath, one truth, one generation at a time. With love, Marta. Bye bye. Kisses.